So let's get started now. Welcome and thank you for being here. Our last webinar was a massive success. We actually had more dealer representation on the last webinar than the previous one, more salespeople, more managers from more dealerships, and we had some awesome feedback. So I'm super excited to continue our journey together, in efforts to hone our skills, sharpen our tools, and become top 1%ers in the automotive sales industry. Q&A, guys. Drop your questions in the chat. They're going to be copied and sent to me. I dropped my email in there as well. It's my personal email. Email me anytime. I'm always on. Those of you that are with me day to day, you know I'm always available. So shoot me any questions you have. If you're a new salesperson to the automotive industry, if you're a veteran, if you're a manager, whatever it is, let's connect. I'm here to help. I want to help you. I live for this. So shoot me an email. I'm here to help at any time. I'm going to be offering something special. I'm going to offer 5 free one-on-one sales training sessions with the first 5 people that fill out the registration form. Charles, if you could drop that form in the chat, I'd appreciate it. Charles is going to drop a link into the chat. First 5 people to sign up, free one-on-one sales training with me. I can't wait to do this. It's my favorite thing to do. So fill out that form and we're going to get after it together. And I do have an exclusive offer at the end that we're going to go over about some exciting stuff that we have coming up in the coming weeks and months here over, on our side of the fence. September kickoff, all right? September kickoff, first day of the month. We're going to go over goal setting and game planning. We're going to go over the 1954 Yale University case study, one that I find to be super fascinating. We're going to go over the power of systems in not only sales, but in sports as well. One of my favorite things to do is to find the parallels between business, what we do every day, and life. And you seem to find a lot of them in sports and in building relationships, in your personal life too. So we're going to go over power of systems in sales and sports. And we're going to talk about playing the long game, specifically the mindset of Usain Bolt, Olympic sprinter, world record holder, Usain Bolt. So the power of goal setting, the 1954 Yale University study. So back in 1954, Yale University did a poll of their entire graduating class, and they polled every member of that year's graduating class. Only 3% of the graduating class actually had their goals written down. They actually wrote them down and they put them on paper, right? Back then there wasn't iPhones, or I guess there was computers, but they weren't like the MacBooks we have now, or the one that I'm on anyway. 3% wrote down their goals. So you have 3% of the graduating class. This is Yale University. I mean, this is Ivy League. This is the top of the top, the 1% of the 1%. 20 years later, so now 1974, 20 years later, they circled back and re-polled the surviving members of that graduating class. Now, unfortunately, not all of them, had survived, and they couldn't find, every member, but they got a good bit. 20 years later, the 3% of people that wrote their goals down 20 years prior, the 3% of people that wrote their goals down 20 years prior made more money every single year, more yearly income than the other 97% combined. That's the power of goal setting. Because if you don't have a plan in place, you're just kind of wandering around aimlessly throughout your day, and you really never know if you accomplished the task at hand. They put it on paper. They had a game plan. They had a blueprint. Now, I told this story before to some of the young wolves, and they said, well, that's crazy because everybody that graduated from Yale, I'm sure they all made a bunch of money. How's that possible? Yeah, they all did make a bunch of money. But it's all relative, right? It's all relative. The 3% that had goals made more than the other 97%. It's all relative, no matter what atmosphere you're in or environment you're in, sales environment, or in that particular case, Ivy League school. The power of goal setting. Write your goals down today after the webinar. Put them on paper. I guarantee you reach them or get closer to them just by writing them on paper. I personally guarantee it. One of my favorite quotes. Those of you who train with me day in and day out, you know it. I've said it a billion times. Some of you are probably tired of hearing me say it. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not going to stop. People do not perform up to their potential. They perform down to their systems. People do not perform up to their potential. They perform down to their systems. We all know that salesperson, right? We've all, and if you hang around in the business long enough, if you're new, you'll unfortunately find that salesperson. And I hope it's not you. I really do. I hope it's not you. The salesperson who had all the talent, all the skill, got off to a hot start, building the customer base. We're looking at them saying, "Whew, they're a natural. This salesperson's a natural. They got it. They got the gift of gab. They got all the talent, right? We're born with talent. Talent we're born with. That's God-given. You can thank your parents for that. Skill, we could pat ourselves on the back for our skill, right? That's what we acquire through hard work, dedication, consistency, discipline, all the stuff. They had all of it, but they fizzled out. The salesperson fizzled out. They had a tough week, tough 2 weeks, a little bit of a slump, right? A little bit of a slump. They're a 20-car salesperson, and then there's that, cold, wintry February, and they sold 6 cars. And it's like, well, what happened? And next thing you know, they're checked out and they're out of the sales game, and they're working a 9 to 5 somewhere, living an unfulfilled life, wondering what if. That's what happens if you lean too heavy on your potential, on your talent, and on your skills, and you don't have systems in place, because it will go up and down, right? The life of a salesperson, there's some peaks and some valleys. And I think, and I've said this before, I think the true goal is not to see how high you could reach as a salesperson, but to prevent the free fall and stop yourself from finding out how low you can go, because that's a really hard hole to dig yourself out of. You have to stop the free fall. You got to turn, and I say bad relatively speaking, but you turn the bad minutes into maybe bad 10 or 20 or 30 minutes. You don't turn them into bad days, right? You stop the bleeding. You don't turn them into bad weeks or bad months, because eventually that negative momentum can work against you. And me personally, I'd rather have a salesperson with average talent and great systems than a great salesperson with great talent and no systems. I'd rather have an average salesperson, right? Average talent, but great systems, a systematic approach, a game plan every day, something they follow day in and day out, no matter what, regardless of if they feel like it or not, than somebody with all the talent in the world that just does whatever they feel like doing, whenever they feel like doing it, because someday, maybe today, they're not going to feel like doing it. All right, so let's talk about the potential, right? The potential aspect versus the systems aspect in sports. Jamarcus Russell, for us football fans out there, Jamarcus Russell, standout quarterback at LSU, drafted by the Oakland Raiders, number 1 overall. It's actually a cautionary tale, the Jamarcus Russell story, because the NFL, for those of you who are familiar with it, actually changed the way they compensate rookies and put a cap on rookie contracts because of Jamarcus Russell. All the talent, all the skill, all the potential in the world, but he didn't have systems. So there's a story, and it's fascinating. I heard it before, and I was like, wow, that's crazy, but it makes sense. When he was playing for the Oakland Raiders, it was kind of known throughout the locker room that Jamarcus, didn't study film. He didn't study film. He was having a hard time reading defenses. He was having a hard time kind of grasping the playbook. So they gave Jamarcus a DVD of film to watch. They said, Jamarcus, go home tonight, watch this DVD. When you come back tomorrow, I want you to tell us about it. Tell us what you saw. Tell us what you think. We got a big game coming up. Jamarcus comes home, comes back the next day. They ask him, Jamarcus, what'd you think of the film? And he starts rambling off, different stuff that he saw. I saw the defense do this. When they were in a cover 2, they did that. Well, the Raiders gave him a blank DVD. They gave him a blank DVD. He didn't watch it. There's nothing on it. So he lied. Jamarcus Russell didn't have systems. So all the talent in the world, right? All the talent in the world obviously fell short when he got to the big leagues, the NFL, because he did not have systems in place. Our basketball fans out there, the big fundamental, Tim Duncan, San Antonio Spurs. For those of you that watched basketball, and even those of you that did it back in the late 90s through the mid-2000 and teens, the San Antonio Spurs were perennial contenders for the NBA title and the championship. And they had interchangeable pieces along the way because their team built a system. So they did have talent. Tim Duncan, talented, skilled, but they had a system in place. The Manu Ginobilis, the Tony Parkers, the Bruce Bowens, right? Before Tim, and then with Tim, David Robinson, then your Kawhi Leonards, then, your Danny Greens. They had role players that fit the system interchangeably so they could replicate the success that they had in San Antonio year in and year out. You go to the next one, the triangle offense, right? Made famous by Phil Jackson, legendary head coach with the Chicago Bulls and then the Lakers, right? So he had Jordan in the Bulls, he had Kobe and Shaq with the Lakers. That's when you really become dangerous, right? So he not only had the triangle offense, a system that he made famous, a particular offensive scheme, he paired it with very talented and skilled players. And that's when, you become, a head coach that wins 9 championships or whatever he won. So, or I'm sorry, 11 championships. So example there, systems and processes paired with talent and skill, and then that'll make you reach an seemingly unattainable level in this business. And if you focus on honing your skills, sharpening your tools just a little bit every day, it's not a ton, just a little bit every day. I think there's a stat out there. If you dedicate 18 minutes per day to making yourself better at any given task, you will have dedicated more time than 99% of the people that are actually trying to get better at that task. 18 minutes a day. Today, we're already going to do that. You're already in the top 1% today. So systems and processes paired with talent, skill, and potential, and the sky's the limit. So let's take a second to reflect a little bit on our goals, right? I think this is the one part as salespeople we fail to do the most. We fail to slow it down for a second, right? Once again, crescendoing, first of the month, all the way to the end of the month, boom, from hero to zero, as they say, and we're kind of in this vicious cycle. Let's take a step back. What are your goals for this month? And when I say your goals, I don't mean the number you're going to give your manager after this webinar, that how many cars you're going to sell this month that you maybe never even look at for the rest of the month and do it again next month on the 1st. If that's the case, they're not your goals. They're your manager's goals for you. They're not your goals. What are your goals? What are your goals for the month? How many cars are you going to sell? How much money are you going to make? And how are you going to reach them? And when I say how are you going to reach them, not, oh, I'm going to show up every day, I'm going to be pumped up, I'm going to have a positive attitude, because, I hate to break it to you, but you're not. There's going to be some days you're not pumped up. There's going to be some days you don't have a positive attitude, but you got to lean in on your systems and processes. So what's your output going to look like? What are you doing each and every day? You need to map out your day. What are you going to do today to be 1% better? What are you going to do today to get one step closer to that end of the month goal? And there's some salespeople on here, you know who you are. We talk about it all the time. And I mean this at my core. Your goal right now today, if your goal is to sell 21 cars, your goal right now is not to sell 21 cars though. Your goal is to sell car number 1. Don't have the pressure of, oh my gosh, how am I going to get to that 21 weighing on your shoulders? I don't care if it's 21, 15, 30, 100 cars. That pressure can kind of weigh you down and prevent you from ever taking that first step. Focus on selling one car. How are you going to sell one car? And then focus on selling the next one. But you got to map it out, guys. You got to map it out, because when your mind can't see the steps, your heart will ask to pause. When your mind can't see the steps, your heart will ask to pause. Just like going to the gym. If you go into the gym saying, I'm going to work out today, but you have no game plan, no regimen, you don't know what body part you're going to work out. Oh, I'm going to do some buys here, maybe throw a couple, reps up of shoulders. Eventually, you're going to stop. When are you going to stop? You're going to stop when you feel like it, when you don't feel like working out anymore. But if you have a game plan, I'm going in there, I'm doing 3 sets of 10, 4 exercises, a mile of cardio, whatever it may be, you won't stop until you're finished. So put your goals on paper, map it out. Things that we're going to do today and tomorrow, guys. Things we're going to do today and tomorrow. You're going to call all of your sold customers from last month. To some of you, this may seem basic. Okay, of course, but you may have did it last month, right? So I'm sure some of you are saying, oh, I always call my sold customers. Do you? Do you call all of them? You just call some of them. Do you call all of them? Do you not call some of them because you don't want to call them because the experience was less than a level 10 because you cut corners during the process, right? Are you embarrassed to call them? Like, that happens. And I'm not saying that's never happened. That's happened to me before on the sales floor. I get it. The goal is to be able to call every single sold customer confidently, knowing that they're going to be happy to take your call. Call them, thank them for their business, and set a precedent. If you're new to the game, I like to set a precedent for quarterly check-in. So when you call your sold customers from August, tell them, hey, I'm going to be reaching out to you once a quarter just to touch base, just to make sure everything's going perfect with your vehicle. And at that point, if you need me to schedule a service appointment for you, I'll do that as well. Set precedent. So when you call, it doesn't seem like you're bothering them. You've set protocol as to when they could expect from you. Every time you do call on that quarterly check-in, obviously you're going to seek a referral. When I ask for referrals, guys, it's very, most people say, so do you know anybody in the market for a car? And what are they going to say? Not right now, right? So I like to force them into a corner a little bit. I like to ask them, John, if you had to pick one person most in need of a vehicle right now, family or friends, somebody you work with, somebody you've seen down the shore, one of your buddies at the fantasy football draft, if you had to pick one person in your life, one person, just think about it, who's in most need of a new car, who's driving a beat-up car, who mentions maybe being in the market, if you really had to pick one person, who would it be? I force them into a corner. I make them pick one person. It works for me much better than, hey, do you know anybody in the market for a vehicle? Their automatic default response is going to be no. Get those surveys in, guys. Get those surveys in. They're super important now more than ever. Every company knows it. That's how you get paid. That's how your dealership gets paid. Part of being the best available salesperson to take a customer at your store is making sure your surveys are perfect. Get your reviews in. Google Raider, Google Review, Dealer Rater. Yeah, Google Raider. So Google Raider, get both of them. Dealer Review, Google Raider. I did it again. Google Review, Dealer Rater. Wow, I'm too pumped up. And social media posts. So get those reviews in on Google, get the Dealer Rater reviews, and get your social media posts. Wring that rag dry from your customer, right? It's not just about the unit and the gross. Get the social media posts. Get the word of mouth. It's your best friend. Let them do the legwork for you. Call all of your unsold customers from last month. All right, so your unsold customers, get them excited about the new incentives. A great deal is a state of mind. Get them pumped up that the incentives on all new and pre-owned vehicles right now in September are the best we've seen post-pandemic. That's for sure. Get them pumped up. And tell them, be honest with them. Say, listen, August, we were expecting a little bit of a better month than we had. So September, we're definitely not going to fall behind. We're getting off to a fast start. We're making deals in September that I haven't seen since the pandemic. Get them pumped up about incentives. There's only 30 days in September, Mr. or Miss Customer, and we got to make the most out of every single one of them. Guys, their job is not to follow up with you. Oh, well, yeah, they told me they call me when they're ready. They're never going to call you. That's not their job. They don't get paid to do that. And I know that most of us don't follow up often either. I mean, 44% of salespeople quit after one follow-up attempt. I didn't make that number up, right? People, I don't do that. I call my customers nonstop. All right. People lie, numbers don't. I didn't make the numbers up, so don't shoot the messenger. But 44% of us are quitting after one follow-up call. The data proves that. Is that you? Do you call your customer until they're either a deal or dust? Do you grind them until you possibly can't grind them any longer, right? The customer who left last week, right, last month, saying they only wanted to pay $600 per month, is that same customer that could come back today be willing to pay $800 a month. It could be that same person, right? Because think about the experience you had with a customer where they came in wanting to pay X amount of dollars per month, and you were able to bump them $200 per month, but you still needed to get the extra 100. You just couldn't get it out of them that visit. Sometimes that's just the most you're going to get from them on that visit. It doesn't mean that in the future they're not willing to do that. You go out on a date, right? First date, you go out with the person, you go out for dinner. Go to dinner, great time. You ask them, what do you want to do after this? You want to go out, get a couple drinks? For me, club soda. No, not tonight. I think I'm going to go home and, just take it easy. You got to get up early in the morning. Doesn't mean on the next date they're not going to be willing to go out for drinks with you. It just means on that date you weren't able to get them to go out for drinks. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Follow up with your customer. That customer went home, talked to their significant other, talked over, man, I love that car, man. And the salesperson, he was great. Pistol Pete was great. And I love that Jeep Grand Cherokee. Yeah, but it's hard to swing that payment. Well, what about Becky's student loans? I think we got, 4 months left? You think maybe we can use the credit card for the down payment? Then we're going to free up some cash. We're going to free up $300 a month. Once our student loans are done, 3 months from now, we can probably, swing the car. What do you think? Yeah, I guess we could maybe do that. All right, let's go look around online a little bit. And then what? If the salesperson doesn't follow up with them, they're going to submit a lead somewhere else. You are going to have taught them how to buy a car, and you're going to miss out on their business. And some schmuck down the street is going to sell them a car and put no work in. So follow up with your customers. You have no idea what the conversations are like when they go home, what they think about. And just because you weren't able to close them at X payment on the first visit doesn't mean you can't close them at X payment on the second visit. And if they crack that door again, guys, their payment tolerance is going to go up. Their down payment tolerance is going to go up. They're going to be open to other options, clearly, because they want to buy a car. They're back. They're not back to waste their time. And call all your missed appointments. Call all of your missed appointments. This morning, I got reports sent to me. I already sent them to managers at multiple dealerships of missed appointments for the month of August. If you set an appointment with somebody and they didn't show up, they broke a promise to you. They broke a promise to you. They told you they were going to come and they didn't show up. That would be like, you plan a dinner date with somebody, right? So we'll go back to the date. You plan a dinner date. All right, I'm going to meet you Friday night, 7 o'clock at Outback, right? I want to get the blooming onion. Love the blooming onion. 7 o'clock comes by. They're not here. Okay. 7:10. They're not here. You're not going to just go home, right? I mean, you're not going to just go home and say, oh, I guess it wasn't meant to be. You're going to wonder, like, where are you? You're going to shoot them a text, follow up with a call. And then in the days following that, I'm kind of going to want to know what went wrong, right? What went wrong? Call your missed appointments. And if you're setting appointments, don't set them and forget them. It's very important to keep open dialogue, create reasons to interact with your customer from the time you set the appointment until the time they're supposed to show up. It makes it much harder for them to kind of flake out on you because you kind of have them in the deal and you still have them warm to you as the person, not that person that reached out to them last week who was just maybe some text, on their phone, right? So call those missed appointments as well. So for my unsold customers, I know it's a little small right here, guys, but this is a Google sheet that I use for all leads. If I'm a salesperson, I'm using this. My salespeople use this for leads that they're working. You can see it says my name, my phone number, my email address, vehicle of interest, Rolls-Royce, because who doesn't want a Rolls-Royce? Last contact, 8/28. Next contact, today. Notes, really likes coffee and pizza on the boardwalk. That's facts. So I like to log every customer in here. Then you can organize the sheet by clicking the column up top by specific vehicle of interest. Maybe you had a customer on a certain car that you didn't have in stock 2 months ago. You click, oh, shoot, we just got 3 of these cars in. You can reach out to your customer. A lot of times, our follow-up gets lost in the CRM. I like to have it organized in a sheet in front of me, and you can print it out. You can stare at it all day, whatever you got to do, but log your unsold leads, log your unsold customers, and look at it all day, every day to try to manufacture a car deal. That was one of my favorite things to do on the sales floor. I'd walk around with a blank guest sheet, just brainstorming, like, who can I help, sell a car to today? I'd be going up to my managers. Hey, what do you think about this person? What do you think about that person? Hey, I got this buddy from Facebook. Trying to manufacture car deals. But I like to use the Google Sheet. I use Google Sheets and Docs for everything, and I find this to be very effective. One of my sales guys really took this seriously and finds great success with it. Things to do today and tomorrow. Let's clean up August deals. Let's leave them in August and move on. We don't want to be chasing around titles. We don't want to be chasing around proof of income. We don't want to be searching for easy passes and trade-ins from last week that detail may have thrown out. I remember vividly a customer I had. I'm not going to say her name, but her initials are BM, right? But I remember her. I was a salesperson. She traded in a yellow punch buggy Beetle, right, for a moss green Nissan Cube. I remember the Cube had this like fuzzy like pad on the top of the interior. It was wasn't my favorite car, but I'm sure some people love it. But she bought the Nissan Cube. I left her tags on the trade-in. The trade-in got wholesaled. I didn't find out till like a week later. Then I had to go track down the car at the wholesale lot in the rain on my day off. I remember her mom was there. It was a whole big thing. I remember her first and last name, and it was imprinted on my brain never to do that again. So clean up last month's deals, focus on selling cars this month, and let's start setting some goals for September. Let's write them down. Let's put them on paper. How many cars are we going to sell? How much gross are we going to make? How many sold appointments? How many people are going to crack the door because of you? Anybody could sit around and wait for the up bus. Anybody can do that. I'm sure your dealership can hire anybody to sit around and wait for a customer to crack the door. That's not a salesperson. You do that if you work at Apple or if you work at Macy's, but salespeople generate traffic. How many sales appointments are you going to sell this month? If they're coming in to see you, and I know the numbers, the likelihood of you closing a sales appointment for a customer that cracks the door is double, if not more, than that of a customer that just walks in as a fresh up showroom traffic. It's guaranteed. You've already built rapport. You've already built a relation with them. They're coming in to see you. It's so important to do that. CSI, your score should be perfect, but what are your goals for CSI? It should be perfect across the board. And how much output is required, right? How much do you have to do per day, per week, per hour? How many calls do you have to make? How many appointments do you have to set? How many customers do you have to get in front of? Break down the math, reverse engineer back from your goal, put them in bite-sized pieces so you can manage them and accomplish them every day. Reflect back on August. Let's reflect back on August, guys. Scale of 1 to 10. How would you rate your performance? It should be less than a 10. I know mine was less than a 10. Why? Because I'm not perfect. You're not. None of us are perfect. If you're perfect, let me know. I gotta figure out what you're doing. But none of us are. None of us are. So what would make us a 10? What could we do to make September better than August? Pick one thing. Pick one area, right? Don't make it so abstract. Say, okay, what's one area of my game that I definitely want to get better at this month? Write it down and every day stare at it and make it your mission to be better at that. And then next month, do the same thing. Do you know your numbers? Do you know your numbers? Do you know how many customers you got in front of last month? Right now, do you know how many customers you got in front of last month? You should. Do you know how many ups? How many appointments you made? How many showed up? How many of them sold? How much activity did you breed? How many phone calls did you make? How many texts did you send out? What about your social media engagement? How often did you post on social media? How many people like your posts? The people that liked your post, did you slide into the DMs and say, hey, man, I know you saw that Mustang I just posted. That car's sick, isn't it? Yeah. Why don't you stop by and get it? Oh, I wish I could afford it. Why do you say that? What are you driving now? Boom. I'm in a conversation with a potential customer. Did you do that? Every person that liked your post? What would 25 more phone calls per day mean to you? How long would that take? So 25 phone calls, if you're there 12 hours, that's 2 phone calls an hour. That'll take you 2 minutes. Do you have 2 minutes to spare each hour? Could you put TikTok aside for 2 minutes, Instagram aside, Snapchat aside, maybe spend a little less time on DoorDash and a little more time reaching out to customers, right? I'm being facetious, but I'm being serious, right? 25 more phone calls per day. What would that mean to you? I do it with my guys and girls all the time. We break down how many calls they make per day and how many more calls they'd have to make per hour to equal how many more car deals per month. It's very simple to do. Just increase the output a little bit. You don't have to change your entire life in one day. Change a little bit at a time. And I promise you, it'll make you more car deals. Usain Bolt's mindset. We're wrapping up, guys, in another 5-10 minutes. 5-10 minutes. Hang in there. Are you willing to play the long game? Usain Bolt's mindset. Usain Bolt's mindset. Usain Bolt, Olympic world record holder, sprinter. He once said, I trained 4 years for 9 seconds. I trained 4 years. He trained 4 years for the Olympics to run 9 seconds. His world record is 9.63 seconds in the 100 meter. There's a guy, think of that, 4 years of training all day, every day to run 1 9-second race, right? So that's the long game. Are you willing to pay it? Are you willing to play it? Are you willing to play the long game? See, everybody says they're willing to make sacrifices for the end goal, right? Are you willing to do X, Y, and Z to accomplish this? Yeah, of course I am. Yeah, but are you willing to do it today, tomorrow, and the next day if you don't see results being bred? If you don't see yourself moving in the right direction, are you going to quit, right? Everybody's willing to do it for the end goal, for the end game. Are you willing to do it for steps 1, 2, and 3 where you don't get any pats on the back, right? Where it seems like you're doing a thankless job. Put the work in now, and at the end, it'll pay off. But you can't do it all in one day. People overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. People overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year, day in and day out, just a little bit. This is one of my favorite graphics. I shared it with a bunch of people before. The importance of smaller steps. I'm sure you've seen it on social media before, but you got one guy reaching, trying to get to that first rung of the ladder, and he can't reach it. That looks like he's probably my height, around 5'4", 5'5". And then you got another guy who's all the way up top because he's taking small baby steps. When we try to accomplish too much in one sitting, in one day, it seems insurmountable. It's like, where do I start? It's like going to the gym your first day and trying to pick up 100-pound dumbbells. You'll get there, just not on the first day. You have to have the humility to take baby steps. What's your why? What's your why, right? So as a leader, and I've heard this before, and I subscribe to this belief system that people don't buy into your goals, they buy into your vision. And my goals for you aren't to go out there and sell a car today. My goal for you is to go and sell a car to get one step closer to the life that you see yourself living in the future. For everything that you want for you and your family. That's for where you see yourself next year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. What does it look like, right? Where are you living? Where are you vacationing? What are you driving? How much money's in your bank account? With that money, what can you do? How much less stress do you feel? How much more accomplished do you feel? That side business that you want to build, that store you want to open up, right? That brand that whatever it may be, every little step we take, that's what I want for the people that I work with. I want them to live lives that they're proud of, right? So as a leader, I try to create a vision for the life that the people that I work with can live for themselves. And I try to support that to the best of my ability. And the same thing should go for you. Create a vision for yourself, right? Where do you see yourself next year? How are you dressing? How are you walking? How are you moving? How do you look? How do you feel? Where do you live? What do you drive, right? That's what you should be working towards, because just the numbers alone, they can only motivate you so much, right? You got to have a vision attached to the goal, because it's very easy to quit on the goals if you're not aiming towards where you see yourself in the future. And the motivation myth, you've heard me say it before, motivation to me, I don't know. I think it's BS. I think it's a myth. It's like happiness or hunger, right? I'm a little hungry right now, but I didn't decide to be hungry, right? I'm happy right now, but I didn't decide to be happy. Now, I have discipline and consistency. I have the consistency of doing these webinars, which make me happy. So I created that. But happiness and hunger in and of itself, they come and go. You're not going to be motivated every single day, but it's your discipline and your consistency that you're going to have to lean on the rainy days when you don't feel like waking up, when you're tired, you don't feel like going to the gym, you don't feel like going to the work. You got to lean in on your discipline and consistency because motivation will come and go. We're not in control of that. We are in control of the systems we put in place that every single day we do X, Y, and Z. We make a law for ourselves and we don't break it. And it's never the wrong time to hit the reset button, guys. It's never the wrong time to hit the reset button. Whether you're having a rough morning, a rough afternoon, rough day or week, at any time, you could stop. Take a deep breath. I did about 10 of them prior to the webinar. Take a lap around the dealership. Put the phone down for a second. Stop, pounding your brain with whatever it is you're consuming. Hopefully it's not negative content. And just hit the reset button. Start right now. You don't see a lot of times, it's the third week of the month. It's the 22nd of whatever month it is. And we go, all right, next month, I'm going to get back at it. Next month. So wait, you're going to take 8 to 9 days off and create no momentum for yourself, put yourself in even further of a hole, and you're going to wake up on the first of the month, skipping around, ready to rock and roll. That's not how life works. So start right now, go after it. It's the first of the month. It's a perfect time to be aggressive, to change everything for yourself, but it starts with small baby steps. We got to put more output out there, guys. The markets are changing. The up bus, if you're sitting around waiting for the up bus, you're in the wrong business. You have to be aggressive. And I'm sure your managers have said it. I believe it at my core. You have to be proactive, not reactive. Don't wait around because eventually if you're just sitting around waiting for ups, and I'm not saying this to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just being realistic. If you're sitting around waiting for ups, you will be replaced by a wolf out there who's hungry, looking to attack. And that's just the fact. That's just the business we're in. This the life we've chosen for ourselves. And that's why I love it so much, because we get paid directly in proportion to the amount of effort we put out. If I work harder than somebody, I want to get paid more than them. All right, guys, I know we packed a ton into a short period of time. It flew by for me. I know we're around 33 minutes right now. I'm super grateful for you being here again. For you to sit here on here with me, to sit here, it's a privilege to me. It's an honor for me. It's like I'm building, the next steps of my future, and to have you all here with me, it really means a lot to me. And, I commend you for your commitment to mastery, right? 99.9% of salespeople right now in the world, I guarantee it, 99.9% of salespeople in the world right now are not taking time out of their morning on the first of the month to make themselves better. They're just not, and you are. So you should be proud of yourself. This is just our beginning together. This is the beginning of the journey. Our next free webinar is on the 15th. So we're doing them every 2 weeks. We're going to rock out through September with them. Every 2 weeks, I'm going to be sending out the registration link in the next day or so. Make sure you register and pass it around to your friends too. Pass it around. Anybody you know in the business, anybody you know in sales, have them join. Once they register, they're part of the database, and I'm going to be hitting you guys with training tips and updates. So keep an eye out for them. I'm sending them out every couple of days, some training tips, some updates, and check us out on social media too. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on LinkedIn. Check us out. We're uploading every single day. So I put a lot of content on there that I think you'll really find to be useful. This fall, early fall, we have our launch. We're going to dive into some more formal training. With the formal training, guys, it's going to be a Zoom type feel where we're going to have live audience. All of you are going to be on there. I'm going to be able to see all of you, call on all of you. We're going to have live interaction. We're going to role play. It's not going to be 30 to 45 minutes. I'll sit there all day with you if you want. Now, I don't expect you to sit there all day, but if you want to, I'm here, right? If you're like, listen, I really want to dive deep and get better at this, I will sit there all day with you. Our sales university, we're going to launch that. It's going to be chapter-based with video modules. So if you're new to the game, if you've been in the game for a little while, you're going to brush up on your skills, or you just really want to make sure you have the finger on the pulse, your finger on the pulse of today's market, you could sit there, watch our videos. It's going to be me on there, and we're going to do this thing together and really take yourself to the next level. And we're going to upload content in real time as well. So it's going to be ever growing. It's going to be great. That's our sales university. Super pumped for that. And we're going to have some early bird opportunities. So if you're a dealer, principal on here, general manager, sales manager, I don't forget where I came from. I never will. You being on here means the world to me. We're going to have some early bird opportunities for you that other people are not going to be privy to. So let's hop on a call. Let's figure out exactly what we can do to create systems and strategies custom for your dealership. Q&A, don't forget, hit me up, shoot me some emails. I'll answer all of your questions all the time. Email me. I got you. And your feedback, guys, we're going to wrap up with this. I'm going to be sending an email with a link, little form. Give me your feedback. I'd love to hear what you liked about the webinar training, what you didn't like about it. I can handle it. I want to know, what didn't you like about it? You might say me. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know if I can help that, but what you liked, what you didn't like, and I want to get your feedback. I'm going to be sending that email out. I'll see you on the 15th. Tell your friends. Thank you so much for being here again. It's a great honor, great privilege. I really value you, and you're a valued member of our Wolf Pack. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Keep an eye out for the emails, guys. Cool. You're welcome, Joe. You're very welcome. Pistol Pete, Mark 21. Can't go on vacation, though, bro. Can't go on vacation to get to 21. Meech, bam, my man. Thanks for being on, Meech. Big month this month. Big month. Joe, see you in the gym. I was in the gym this morning. 6 o'clock. Where are we at, bro? I needed a spotter. I couldn't max out. Where's Richie B? Your spotter. Where's he at? Off. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pistol Pete. Kelvin, thanks, bro. Motivation is myth. Discipline is, yeah, motivation's, it's a little dopamine hit. You know, it gets you going a little bit, but it doesn't last, right? It doesn't last. It's sizzle attracts your attention, but it's not the steak that we need. We need the discipline and consistency, because not every morning are we motivated. Matt, let's go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And guys, click that link. I'm offering free one-on-one sales training. First five. We got 2 spots left. 2 spots left. Click that link. I don't know if you noticed, we had a bigger screen this time on the webinar. They updated the software, which is pretty cool. All right, guys. Yes, Angelo, Lolo, have a great weekend, bro. Have a great weekend. Let's rock and roll, baby. Rock and roll at the beach. Rock and roll at the beach. Yes, sir. Can't wait for your mixtape to drop. Lolo's Beats. Who else? Where's Alexander the Great? Josh, have a great weekend, Josh. You too. You too. Thanks, everyone, for being on here.